Daddy. If you like what you see, comment and subscribe.
Sipping on a 40. Yo, I know it's been a minute, huh? Homie, I'm back. Yeah, I said, homie, I'm back.
Microphone check 1 2 1 2.
Hi, Daddy.
This is episode 40 of Mr. Dad. I'm sitting here with Mark, my brother-in-law. You guys have never seen him, so this is a fresh face. It's gonna give me a great outlook on life in general, on the marriage side. I know nothing about it. But before we get to that, Mark, let me ask you a little bit about your background. So you're from New York,
Upstate New York. That's correct, Rochester.
Rochester, New York.
Yes, sir.
And in Rochester, New York, what do you guys do?
Oh, man. Try to stay out of trouble.
Oh, okay.
That's what you do. A lot of, oh, man, you work. You take care of your family. And, you just kind of have fun however you can.
Do you guys ever go down to like the boroughs?
Oh, yeah, all the time. All the time. Everybody back home, they pretty much know that's where you do your shopping.
Okay.
You know, you go out to the city and you get all your shopping done. That's where you want to go do it. That's where you're going to get the best deals. And to go party. I mean, you know, you just go out there and you go have fun.
So when I went down there, I was in New York about 3.5 years ago, and we were at this club, and it was it was by the water. I forgot what it was called, but there was everyone was acting uppity, and then there was a group of girls from Rochester, New York, and it was lit over there. So I went over there for at least
Yes.
at least 40 minutes of that night, just dancing with them.
Yes.
And it was they were down to earth. So it was like it's kind of like it's the down to earth part of New York to me. That's what I felt like.
I can see that. I can see that.
They brought it down a little bit.
It is. And it's, I mean, Rochester's not a big city. So when you think about the size of it, I mean, it's smaller than like Buffalo, definitely smaller than the city. I mean, so it kind of goes under the radar, but a lot of people will still come there and party and have a good time. So I can definitely see those girls coming and turning the party out. No question.
For sure. For sure. So you're from New York. You meet the wife here in Arizona?
You're in Arizona?
Okay, so how did that happen?
At work.
Wow.
At work. Actually, it's a good place to meet your future wife.
It's always better in the club.
Always better than the club. I've never had a good experience pulling one out of the club, man. It's never worked out. Not long term, anyway.
All right, so so you meet your wife. Your wife has 2 boys, and you still decide to stay. Now, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to decide to stay. All right, people are gonna. I don't want people to think that I'm,
Right.
you know, I'm against women with kids. But you decide to stay,
Oh, yeah.
and now you have 2 young ladies of your own.
Yes. Well, when we met, she had 2 sons.
Yeah.
I also had 2 sons.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I just moved out here. My sons were still in New York. Their mom didn't want. They're too young. She didn't want them, you know, moving out here with me. But
Makes sense.
it took
Kind
me
of.
a while to. Yeah, it took me a while to get it. My mother had to explain it to me, like, no woman is going to let her young sons, you know, go that far across the country, even though you're their dad.
Right.
She's their mom.
Okay.
So after she explained that to me, it was kind of like, okay, I didn't, you know, have a grudge about it, but I just kind of had to respect it. But having 2 boys, you know, I kind of already knew what
Right.
she was going through with 2 boys, so it was very easy to kind of handle, I guess, because it's a situation I'm already used to.
Right.
And then when you meet that person that you feel like is everything that you've wanted, I mean, that's just a no-brainer. I mean, it's something, you know, something like kids you're not going to let stop you from being with that person.
Right.
And I didn't, so.
That's dope. Cause I probably would have ran. No, I'm kidding.
I've ran before.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know what? It wasn't the right one.
Yeah. Right.
It wasn't the right one. That's the whole difference right there.
So it's all about the right one.
It's all about the right one. Absolutely.
Well, before we get into the marriage talk, cause that's that's the meat right there because I kind of want to get into it. I have a friend that's married. I have another friend that's about to get married.
Okay.
So we talk shop a lot, but I never really understand because I don't understand the marriage life.
Right.
So
I get it.
So now you have your two boys, her two boys, and then you have the two girls, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's the difference? Because there's a really big difference for me.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to see what.
Oh yeah, that's night and day. I mean, having boys, even having my own boys, and then being that role in my other sons, which people would say my stepsons, they're my sons. Actually. It's easy, man. I mean, boys, you tell them, they better listen.
Right.
Put the hammer down. That's it. Girls, it's a whole nother world. Oh my God, they smile at you and then they whine and they give you those eyes and it's like, daddy, daddy, daddy. I mean, how do you tell them no? How do you shut them down?
Yeah,
It's hard.
You kind of just fall in line. That's what it's always been for me with my daughter. If she ever wanted something and she gave me the crocodile tears in the eyes and things like that,
Oh yeah.
it's way easier to say okay and give in than like my son, because my son came after. So I had no idea what the boy world was like.
Okay.
It was more so like, let me jump in on this and just see how it goes. The girl, I had already knew to tell in, okay, she's going to want this, she's going to want that. This is how, life needs to be structured. Teach her not to do this, teach her not to do that.
Right.
And then my son comes in and he kind of just destroys, flips, runs into things. All the things that the girls didn't do.
Exactly.
But you're looking at it from the flip side, so you're
Right.
used to the rumbling, tussling.
Yeah, and the tough love,
Uh-huh.
and and boys, especially our black boys, they
Yeah.
need that tough love. Keep
sure.
them straight, keep them in line, make sure they're doing what they should be doing, not doing or being anywhere where they shouldn't be. So I mean, that part I had, and I was good with it. I felt like I was a guru at this.
You had it down to a science.
To science, and then along came these two girls. Changed everything, man.
Do you ever feel like it's a double standard for, like, because you go out through life and you want your boys, you're okay with your boys going out and smashing, but then you got your girls, and you're like, man, like, no, you don't have sex till you're 50, right? And I find
I
myself
always said 30. I like 52. I like it.
right, and I was embellished. Someone always told me when I over exaggerate, I have to over exaggerate. But my daughter, right? She's getting up there in age, so she's the older one, and I'm just telling you from a perspective that from the girl first, they start to fill out, right? They start to grow into their bodies and things like that. I'm under the belief right now that you have to install those morals into them, and then hope they follow, your lead. Because
Right.
as kids get older, they just start to buck against you anyway.
Absolutely.
At some point, they just stop listening,
Absolutely.
and you're like, damn, like why?
Yeah. And you start thinking, where did I go wrong? But I feel like a lot of the times, and this with boys and girls, a lot of the times that is just them being teenagers,
Right.
being influenced by kids at school, by what they see on YouTube, what they see on Instagram, all of those things. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you install those morals in them early, they stay.
Yeah.
And long run, through all the high school and, all the other things that they're going through, if those morals stick, then that's what they'll carry with them into their growing up years. And just want your kids to grow up and do right.
As much as possible.
As much as possible, exactly.
Please.
Exactly.
So, your wedding day, remember?
Oh yeah. I remember most of it.
By far, one of the dopest weddings I've ever been to.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
The whole zoot suit.
Oh yeah.
mafia style.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah, you showed out.
old-fashioned- yeah.
You showed out for that one too. You
The
did,
old,
man.
the old fashioned cars.
Yes, it was.
The old fashioned wedding dress. Just the all the way down to your groomsmen and your bridesmaids. Where'd that come from?
That was actually a backup plan.
Okay.
The original plan for the wedding, we wanted to do like the Coming to America wedding with the dancers and stuff like that. And I mean, we didn't have dancers. I don't know how we were going to get dancers, but it wound up being that someone, I can't remember who it was, someone, celebrity on TV, they actually did that for their wedding, which was literally the same year that we were getting married. So it was like, we can't do that, man. They just did it on TV. They got a lot more money, and they probably did a lot better than we would. We got to do something else.
Did they have a lion?
Man, you know what? Probably. They probably had a lion and an elephant and everything else in there. We said, you know what? Let's flip it and do something different. Let's take it old school. Let's take it 20 style, Harlem Night style. So we went with that one, and it came together.
It did.
It came together.
It did.
I mean, it took a little while to get it together, but it came together, and that was the backup. That was the backup plan.
And they always say go with your first mind, but I swear sometimes the backup plans. That wedding was so dope. I didn't even know you guys were having a car coming. I had no idea that car was coming, showing up at the end of the wedding.
So we didn't either.
Oh,
So here's what happened. We actually, I had to, the turn up the night before, the bachelor party, and that morning I'm going to get something to eat, something to put on my stomach, and get ready to go, to get my vows in. And I'm in line, and here comes this guy rolling in with the car, and he's pulling in there, and I'm kind of like half hungover, and I'm looking like, there's no way. This has to be a sign right here.
right.
Pulls in, I ask him, what year is your car? It's 1920. I'm like, really? So I'm getting married today, and I'm having a 20s style wedding.
Wait, this is the pitch.
This is it. Oh yeah, I had the picture, and it was him and his wife. So
Okay.
I'm really trying to pitch the wife because she's hearing married. I'm getting married today.
Right.
And he thought about it, and I'm like, I really appreciate it if you would just be able to just stop by, and maybe we can take a few pictures or something like that. Not really thinking he would actually do it, but figured it's worth a shot. I mean, there's no way that he just happens to roll in here on this day,
Right.
in this car, and I'm just gonna not ask. That's not happening. So I asked, and he said, you know what, we got some things to do right now, but we'll see. Give me your number, and I'll try to give you a call. So I gave him the number, and I also told him where the venue was. My phone died.
Oh.
And I guess he tried to call, and he couldn't call, but he just happened to show up. His wife told him, we should go down there. Let's go do it. And he just happened to show up to the venue, and they came and told us that our vehicle was here, and the rest was history.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't know that story.
No, that is I don't really believe in destiny most of the time. But that's one of those instances where you just gotta kind of just believe that, because that 1920s, a 1920 car roll into a lot where you're getting food
Right.
hung over,
The morning of.
and yeah, you're right with the wife, because the wife is the winner. Because if you would have just told him, he'd probably be like, I'm not coming to it.
Yeah.
But women are very sentimental.
Oh,
It's
yeah. Absolutely.
this car could be
Absolutely.
part of the wedding. You'll probably make their day. This is
Oh, yeah.
great. And all that other stuff. So that,
It made me a believer. I mean, when it comes to
crazy.
destiny and things like that, I kind of feel how you feel about it. I don't really, but on that day, oh yeah, I was a firm believer.
for
I was a firm
sure.
believer.
So then, now you've been married for, I don't want to say the amount, I'm going to be wrong, for a certain amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was gonna see what your guess was.
my guess is going to be off. My sense of time is horrible. I was going to give you 20 years. And you're right. You are only 30.
Give me 20.
But
It'll be 6 years this year.
6 years.
6 years.
Okay, so it's been 6 years of marriage life. I'm sure there's some ups and downs.
Oh
There's some down and outs.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
some high rises. There's some turn ups because it's my sister. Dang, I was supposed to say that. Whatever. It's my sister, so your life has probably been great and exciting just by knowing her. So how's marriage life? Like, to someone that's looking from the outside in, someone that's never been married, I attempted, failed horribly, but I do believe in it.
Okay.
So if you wanted to tell someone that has no idea about it, what would you say marriage is? What's the toughest task, and what's the greatest part?
Well, start with the toughest task. Toughest task is just one for men in general. Is the faithful part. I think we all know that. That's one of the tougher tasks right there.
For sure.
But it gets easy when you have the right person. If you have the right person, that makes all the difference. The other, as far as a tough task, would be just making sure that you're giving this person your all. So when I say giving this person your all, I mean like you're not keeping things from them. You know, everything should be straight across the board. They shouldn't have to wonder, you know, well, how do you feel about this? It should be something that I should be able to tell my wife. She should be able to tell me. We shouldn't have anything hidden from each other like that. Okay. And that can be tough, especially at first. I mean, we've been, you know, almost 6 years now. So, I mean, it's just, it is what it is. It's a breeze now. But in the beginning, that can be tough for a lot of people. So that's, I think a lot of marriages go through that and they run into those problems in the beginning. And that's, you know, that's where things can kind of go wrong. Now, as far as the beauty of marriage is just having that soulmate, just having that person that you can share everything with, that person that, you know, you want to call when you get that promotion, or that person that you want to call when, you know, something goes wrong. You know, just having that life partner. That is the greatest part about marriage, hands down. I mean, you know who you're sleeping with at night. You know who you're waking up to in the morning. You know who you're dealing with. They know who they're dealing with. There's no surprises. I mean, when you have that, man, that's beautiful.
That sounds dope. I have this ongoing want, right, throughout my years, and it's like, you know, to be able to walk through the door, be able to greet your family. To me, that would probably be the greatest feeling, because I don't know, and I don't know, you can tell me, when you walk through the door and everyone greets you, and, you know, hey, Dad, everyone's excited to see you, after you just close the door pretty much on the world that probably hates your guts, or acts like they do like you, but really don't
care at all.
You know, what's that feeling like?
Oh, man, that's amazing. That's amazing. You feel like a superhero, to tell you the truth. I mean, when you come in the house and, you know, your kids want to come up to you, they want to tell you about their day. They even ask you about your day. Like my youngest, you know, she's 6 years old. She'll ask me all the time, Daddy, how was your day? I'm like, where do you get this from? And, you know, we ask her too, but you just don't expect kids to ask that back. So, I mean, that's special, man, when you have anyone that does that, that'll ask you how your day was. Especially when it's a kid, you know, 6-year-old kid. Like,
because they don't
yeah.
really want much of nothing most days.
Right. Except for what they want.
Right. Unless it's something that they really, really want, exactly.
Yeah, but that's a lot of love, man, when you come in that door and you know, like you said, close the door on the world and come into your family, and it's just all love there, man. That's an amazing feeling.
And I only got a few more questions. When you're thinking about like the decisions that you make throughout your life, right? And is it like when you're married, is it like an inclusion of the other person? So every decision you make, you have to make sure that it doesn't affect them negatively?
Absolutely. So being single, decision making for me was horrible. My decision making was horrible as being single, as being a married man, and even being a father. You know, I think your decision making starts to change then as
Right.
being a father. So either one of those two will help you with, should anyway. So we know some people. We probably all know some people who,
Still makes the same
Yeah,
decision
absolutely.
regardless.
but I mean, at the end of the day, that should be, those are life changing events that should help you to make better decisions. And being married, you're definitely thinking, okay, how's this going to affect my wife?
Yeah.
How is she going to feel about this? Will she agree with this? You know, and certain decisions you're not going to make on your own. You know, you got to talk to that spouse and figure out, you know, what should we do, because it's not just me anymore. Now it's us. This is going to affect us both. Even if it only seems like it's going to affect me, it will still affect her in the long run somehow. So it's just something that you want to make sure you're on the same page with, and just have that conversation with them. And just and that goes back to, you know, everything being straight across the board. You know, you just have that conversation with them and make sure that it's the best decision for both of you, even if it immediately is only affecting one of you.
And does that sense now amplify? So like you know how like when you're in a relationship, you have the sense of when someone's not feeling. You know, they're
Right.
they're not feeling right. They're not feeling something. You just sense
Right.
where they're coming from. Does that sense now intensify? So now you can like probably feel when she's at work, like, and she's not probably having a good day.
Absolutely. You know, that's funny. This actually happened, I want to say a couple months ago. I just surprised her out the blue and, you know, sent her flowers and a balloon or something like that, just to do it. You know, it was a payday.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm gonna do something special because I don't really do stuff like that. And I said, I gotta start doing more stuff like that. And on this particular day, she got it and she came back and told me later that day, like, you know, I was having the worst day ever. This was going on, that was going on. I was about ready to leave my job. And then all of a sudden, these balloons and flowers come in. I'm looking like, oh, somebody got balloons and flowers. And they call her over and she just lit up. So, I mean, I think it's one of those things where even though I didn't know, I kind of had that feeling that I need to do something here. So, oh yeah, I would definitely say after that, yeah, definitely amplified.
There's always a
Definitely.
feeling now.
Yeah.
I get it. So, last few questions. Back to the blended. So I did a whole episode with my homeboy's wife, and we were talking about the blended family, and she was having a lot of troubles, issues with the mom, right, and having to deal with that type of either animosity one day or kindness another day. As males, we kind of deal with things a little different, but is it still something that pesters? Bothers.
You know what? It is and it can be, but it shouldn't be, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be about the kids,
Right.
and that's how you would think. That's how you would expect any grown adult with kids to function.
Right.
It should be about the kids. So, in a sense, if I'm looking over these kids that are not biologically mine, and they have their own father,
Yep.
if what we're doing is not harming these kids, if we're just teaching these kids and helping these kids grow, there shouldn't be any issues there. Now, we know that's not always the case.
Yes.
But, I mean, it just is what it is. And on one end, you're at a point where it's like, okay, you know, sometimes I just want to go bust this dude's head right. But you know that's sending the wrong message.
Yeah.
And you know that's something that you can't do. So, I mean, at some point, you just have to be the bigger person and just be an adult and be a parent and just let some of those things go. And you have to, and that's a huge lesson that you can teach kids. You know,
Yeah.
when they can see something like that going on and they know how you feel about it and they know that you're going to, that's a huge lesson to teach a kid. And kids are smart. They pick up on these things at young ages.
Yeah. They have a study out on stress in the homes, and things like that, and like, you know, breakup, and it shows that kids can feel all the tension.
Yeah. I believe it.
Everything that's going on, and it affects them in certain ways, so you try to keep away from it.
Right.
So with that one, I think that was one of the last questions that I wanted to ask y'all, because I felt that that was really important for viewers. But last question. So earlier today, you took a trip to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
So
Nice.
was that your first time?
That was my first time.
Okay.
Very
And
first
that was
time.
my sister, she said so. We did some crazy shit. I walked out on some cliffs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What was, like, speaking family-wise, the family element, because I felt everyone kind of came together. We kind of did things that we normally don't. We had a whole race. There was a bunch of people that jumped in. It was weird.
I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, right. It happens. It's competitive nature, and I don't know. My other sister jumped in. I didn't know what was going on. Those moments, and in parenting, where you get to show them something, things that probably you haven't ever experienced. To me, it brings me like a different type of joy.
Absolutely.
But for you, like, what did that trip mean? Being your first time, also their first time. So at the same time that you're absorbing all this beautiful scenery,
Right.
you also have to make sure these kids don't kill themselves.
Yes, and that was a job in itself. Because everybody wanted to go to the edge, and oh, man.
And look over.
Yeah, I was a little stressed out
My-
after that one.
My daughter is the biggest chicken in the world. She stood on a ledge today.
She did.
And I was just like, who was this little girl? It brings like I don't know, like maybe like a different sense of courage. Maybe they knew the backing of their parents were being there. I don't get it, but
You know what it is.
exactly.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just for you, go through that experience. Let the viewers know.
Well, a trip like that, I mean, when you take almost any trip, but I mean, especially when you take a trip like that to the Grand Canyon, it's kind of a big trip. This is something that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. And when they grow up and they have kids, they'll want to take their kids there. And they'll say, I remember coming here with my dad and my mom, my uncles and aunts and my cousins. And I love having those moments with my kids, something that's going to last with them for the rest of their lives. And to see those moments of them learning and them growing. Like I heard you tell your daughter earlier, I'm so proud of you when she went out there and stood on the ledge. And she looked terrified.
I didn't know who she was.
But she went and did it. And that's what I'm saying. Like those moments right there, when you see the growth, when you see them learning, when you see all these things happening in front of you, like you said, that's something that's just more special. And it's hard to put into words. I mean, you know what it is. You feel it. You know what it is. But it's just for me, that's one of the biggest joys of being a parent is watching that growth and watching them, overcome fears and just start to do things on their own and just become the person that they're going to become.
And you pushed through because you were off an hour and a half of sleep.
Oh
and
yeah.
drove 3.
Oh yeah.
Just for those moments.
Exactly. And a part of me wanted to last night say, I don't know if we're gonna make it, but and then I thought about those moments. Going out to the Grand Canyon, being there with the kids, being there with everybody, having, it's a big family day. And I didn't want them to miss that. So 20 years from now, I'll never remember how tired I was today.
Right.
But we'll always remember the day we had up there at the Grand Canyon.
Exactly. And that's the joy of that element. One of the reasons why my sister, this is literally, man, let me tell you what the events that led up to this. My birthday was on yesterday. Right?
Yeah.
So my birthday was on Friday. And 2 days ago. No? Yeah, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. On Thursday morning, my sister calls me. She says, "Hey, I see this giant van, right?" And she's like, 15 passenger. Let's all get in it. Go out to Arizona. Get mommy and Tierra and her family and shoot up to the Grand Canyon.
On Thursday.
On Thursday.
Wow.
On Friday at noon, I went and picked up the van. On Thursday at 7 p.m., we booked the Airbnb. At 1 o'clock, we were headed to Arizona.
Wow.
At 8 o'clock, we get here. Hang out all day Saturday. Wait for you guys to get here. You guys come. Drop the kids off, which I probably didn't plan to do. Go do your thing. Come back at 3 a.m. just to wake up at 5. And we all shoot up there. And that all happened literally in one day.
Yeah.
All the planning. So
That's crazy.
I want to first tell you that I really appreciate it, because as long as you've been married to my sister, I don't come out to Arizona as often. So it's awesome for you to come in, jump in, and
Absolutely.
be a part of this. But also, you don't owe anyone nothing. And for me, I always looked at you as somebody that was great, because I'm like, man, you step in, you take ownership of the situation. It reminds me a lot of like my friends that I hang around, people that stand up. That's one of the reasons why I created this, because like I never feel like the males get the greatest shake at it. It's kind of like we get passive thanks, like, oh, you're a good dad, like as if it's not supposed to be a normal thing, you know what I'm saying? Because, and I understand the black community has made this not so normal.
That's true.
But
that is true.
I think that there's a sense of normality that's happening now lately.
Yeah.
As you know, because I don't know anyone that's not taking care of their kids.
And you know what? That's an amazing thing right there. And I just said something like that not too long ago, where it's like, you know, I can think back to being a kid.
Right.
And most of my friends, they may have known their dad, but their dad is not around.
Right.
And, you know, and I went through that. You know, I had my dad. I had my dad, but him and my mom split at a young age. So he wasn't around anymore. You know, my dad was on drugs. And in the 80s, I mean, there was a lot of it going around. So
Right. My dad too.
So, yeah, so you know what I mean. My mom put him out, and, you know, it was just us. And, you know, you look around now, and look around then, and most people didn't have their dad. Some people didn't even have their dad for those first few years, didn't even know who he was.
Right.
And I look around now, and it's like, especially with our black men, you know, we doing a lot better.
Right. A whole
We might
lot.
not be, you know, doing it perfect, but we're making the effort.
Well, you know, it's a learning experience. I tell people that all the time. Like,
Absolutely.
there's no guidelines, there's no books, because
Right.
we weren't taught anything.
Right.
So basically, what we're doing is we're creating our own manual, which is dope.
Right.
But at the same time, a little stepping stool will help. That's what a lot of people, you know, generational wealth, things
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
So now we have to start from a blank slate, but we're still making strides, and that's all
Right.
we can ask for.
That's it.
So, with that said, is there any closing remarks that you have?
Oh, wait, let me see. Did I say anything here to get me in trouble? I don't think I did. No, I think I'm good, man, but I definitely appreciate you having me on, man, to talk, man. That's been real, man. I definitely appreciate that.
Like I said, man, anytime my platform is your platform, you want to get something off, it's for, you know, dads, it's for moms as well. A lot of my viewers are women, surprisingly, and they kind of try to get some insight to the male brain
Right.
and the understanding.
Can't blame him.
So, with that said, if you have nothing else, we're going to get out of here and raise these kids.
That's it.
Mama.